guys, it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be adding on to my full face series. I do have a playlist. I'll link it up here and down in the description box. That way you have something to binge watch during this quarantine. And I'm going to be testing a full face using NYX makeup only. This is the look that I came up with. So if you would like to see how I got here, then keep on watching. But before we go any further, make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe. I know you're gonna come back. You know you're gonna come back. So just do us both the favor and subscribe. That way you don't have to do it later. I post every 4 days. Let's get into it. All right, so we are just going to go ahead and hop into this video. I am super excited for this particular full face video because I've actually used a good chunk of the products before and am a true believer and lover in them. So I'm praying to the makeup gods that they do what I want them to do today. The first product I'm going to be using is NYX Pore Filler Primer. This primer is very close to being gone. What I like about this, and I'll kind of show you guys the texture if I can, it's very thick, as you can see. So it does this kind of weird thing on your skin at first where it balls up, if that makes sense. But then, see, as I'm rubbing it in, it's like the primer is selectively going into the pores that need it. And I know that's a very odd thing to say, but I honestly feel like that's what it's doing. It's actually sinking into your skin and doing what it needs to do. Just to compare, this part of my face is very smooth and it feels pore filled. This side is a little bit rougher, my forehead. And you can even see, look, it's blurring. She is blurring, girl. You cannot tell me any different. I absolutely love that primer and I will probably repurchase this when it's gone. It's not very big. It kind of looks like a travel size. It's not even a full fluid ounce. It's 0.67 fluid ounces. All right, next guys is an oldie but a goodie. Total Drop Foundation in the color Cappuccino. I absolutely love this foundation. If you go back to my older makeup videos, I literally think I use nothing but this stuff. But hopefully this foundation is my color because I've actually been in the sun a little bit. I think we can make it work. I actually would usually do a half brush, half beauty blender to see how foundation performs, but I already know that this foundation does way better with a beauty blender. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my Real Technique sponge and blend that in. I don't know why I just put on half of my face, but it's fine. What I love about this foundation, it's super thin, but it is so full coverage. It is actually kind of crazy how the science works. You don't have to necessarily always use a super thick foundation to get the coverage that you want. But look, like girl, I know you see the difference, okay? I'm not trying to come for myself, but you can see the difference. This foundation is super skin-like. You can still see the little blemish that I had. You can't see the color that comes with the blemish, but it just looks like skin, yet it's still full coverage. It's kind of amazing how it works. Like you can see how thin it is. I mentioned this in my empties video that I just did, and oh my gosh, I am so glad that I do those videos because it's going to remind me of things like this that I just love and kind of bring me back to not my roots, but you know, we all have those things that we love and we just stop using them for a little bit and then you forget about them. Now we are also going to be using one of my favorite concealers. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer in the color Warm Honey, and I could honestly probably go a little bit darker, but I'm not going to. I love a good thick concealer. I do, but this one does the work of a thick concealer, yet it's super thin. As you can see, I am actually going to be doing one eye at a time because this stuff does dry down super fast. It's not super wet. Does that make sense? It dries down really fast, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You just have to know how to work with it. And I'm taking my e.l.f. Camo Concealer Sponge, which you guys know probably should use less of and give other things a shot, but quite frankly, it's just not my prerogative. Oh my gosh, my eyebrows need done. That's quite embarrassing. I can't find my tweezers. Guys, if there is something I buy more of than anything than makeup, it's tweezers. I literally have to buy like 3 pairs a month because I just cannot keep track of them. They fall on the couch, they're in the bathroom. I don't even know where they are, obviously, if I can't keep track of them. I love this concealer, and for a while I found myself grabbing for this and this only. Here is the tricky part about that. I have found that with that concealer, you cannot use a loose powder. You really can't set it because the foundation is meant to be matte and the concealer is meant to be matte. I love the Fenty foundation because it claims to be matte, yet it could use, you know, the extra setting powder. The foundation and the concealer for this do not need that. They would be fine on their own, and you could have a little bit of oil seep through naturally and it would look fine. So I did have this NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop setting powder, and this is in the color Banana, but I already know that if I put this under my eye that it is going to dry down super weird, because the thing is, the concept of baking is to set a wet product. Does that make sense? That way it can seep into the skin and melt and work together. But when you're gonna put something dry on top of something else that's dry, I just feel like it's not gonna look the best. So I do still want to try this product out. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna set one of my eyes and kind of show you guys what I mean, if I'm correct on how I think this is going to go. So I'm just going to take this, super try to press it into my skin, and again, I could be wrong, and that's the thing, you have to be so careful when you're baking, because if you're not taking the time to make sure that product is seeping into your skin, it's not gonna melt together anyways. But I will say I do not like the packaging of this product. You know how I take my Laura Mercier powder and you knock it? You can't, because there's a center thing that comes up in the middle, so you can't do that with this powder. So it's a little bit difficult to access. I honestly hope I'm wrong, because I don't want to look crazy on one side of my face and then amazing on the other. Now we are going to move on to basically the whole reason that I am doing this video. I have been looking at buying this eyeshadow palette for, oh my gosh, a month. I kept holding off. I finally caved. Ultimate Utopia eyeshadow palette. It comes with 40 gorgeous, gorgeous shades that are just so all over the place. And what I like about this, it's a colorful eyeshadow palette, but it's also very practical, if that makes sense. I'm debating if I want to do something more colorful. I am really, really feeling like a super pretty pinky look. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to make sure that I swatch some of these other colors for you guys, because it has some super pretty purples, greens, other stuff like that, but I do kind of want to still keep this a little tad bit practical. I have found that the more you drag your crease color into more of a cat eye, the more elongated it's going to make your eyes look, because I used to be in a really bad habit of just rounding it out, and that kind of closes your eye shape off and doesn't let any focus, you know, come in. I'm actually very, very impressed with how blendable these eyeshadows are, because I have tried one other NYX eyeshadow palette that I really was not a fan of, and I'm about to do a video including it, but the shadows were just awful. I'm not even kidding. I hated them. I have given that palette probably 4 or 5 different tries because I have wanted to love it, but I just can't, because I don't like it. I want to see how some of these shimmer shades perform without any help from a setting spray. So I'm just going to take this super, super pretty color right here by this green, and I just want to pop that on my lid. It's showing up, but it's not creamy, especially like with the Jaclyn Hill palette that I love. The shadows are glittery, but they're creamy, and it's kind of very faintly showing up. If you can see that, I can kind of see my skin underneath it. I feel like it would perform better with the help of a setting spray, but I wanted to see how they would perform on their own. Take this NYX Matte Finish setting spray, and I just want to see if using a setting spray will help with the color payoff. Maybe that'll give it the creamy factor that it needs. That definitely helped. I'm not sure if it's just because it was the second layer of the color. Oh yeah, do you see that difference in my eyes? And there's nothing wrong with the fact that some shadows just need a little extra help from a setting spray, or you know, whatever. See, it's still not coming up though. I'm gonna blend those two together. I'm going to deepen up this crease a little bit, so I'm just going to take this color right by this purple and mix it in with that color, the first color that I used. But this part of my crease right in here. They're not like super impressive, but they're not super bad. Does that make sense? Alrighty, and to finish this look off, I kind of want to see what a pop of silver would look like in the inner corner. Oh yeah. So on this eye, I just used the pressed glitter, and on that eye, I mixed it, but I kind of am liking the way that this looks just a tad bit more. Yeah. All right, so I am done with my eyeshadow look. Now I just want to go through and swatch a few of these shades for you guys. What caught my eye is the super pretty purple in this bottom corner. As you can see, it's a quite pretty color, but it's not very pigmented. You can see where my skin is just wanting to show through really, really, really badly. This green is just calling my name. I can't even. That one is definitely a little bit more glittery in my opinion. This one is definitely more pigmented than this one, and that could have to do with just simply the colors are different. Do this purple pastel color. The mattes are really, really smooth. They feel really nice. That one's having a little bit of a struggle wanting to show up, but it's a super pretty purple. Lastly, I'm going to do this gold. That's like your true 24 karat right up there. It almost looks kind of green, but that could also be just because it is right by the green. I would rate this palette like a 6.5 out of 10. I love the color range. The shadows are super easy to blend, but the pressed pigments and even the shimmer colors could use a little bit of TLC. You kind of have to work a little bit harder to get those to show up, which there's nothing wrong with that. And this really wasn't that expensive. I think I paid like $30 or $40 for 40 shades, which really isn't bad. But at the same time, you have to think of brands like Morphe, where they're also giving you a high volume of shadows that are still good quality. It's not something that I'm never going to use again, but it's also not something that I'm going to be waiting to grab for every single time I put makeup on. Next, I am very, very excited to try this product. If you have watched any of my other videos, you would know that my OG is the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade, and I have never used another brow pomade. I've never cheated on her, and I never thought I would, but I just had to try this NYX Tame and Frame Tinted Brow Pomade. They kind of made me question if I really knew my brows the way I thought I did, so I just opted for the color Espresso. I'm not sure if this is cheating, but I'm going to be taking my same Anastasia dual-ended brush. We're gonna zoom in and see how this performs. Please keep in mind, my eyebrows have not been groomed. You can see I have a lot of extra hair down here, but I am going to start with this eyebrow because, as you guys know, this is my lucky eyebrow. She never does me wrong. I'm just going to do the same routine that I would always do. Outline at the top and the bottom, and then slightly fill in the middle if needed. I just dipped into this. It's very creamy. Honestly, a little bit more creamy than the Anastasia, but I've also had the same one for quite a while. Oh my gosh, I matched that like perfectly. I like that. It would be easier to get like a clean line underneath, but like I said, brows haven't been groomed. I would be lying if I said I did not love that. I hate that I'm such a creature of habit because I feel like it holds me back from getting to try and experience new things. I am liking this better than the Anastasia already. I literally just said in my last video that those words would never come out of my mouth, but here I am. I kind of put a little bit too much on the tip of right here when I was outlining the top of my brow, and I literally just flicked it and it diffused itself. I am so impressed right now. I realize my brows do not look the best just because they are not groomed. If they were not groomed, they would probably look the best that they've looked in a year just because of this product. They still have that kind of feathered look, which is what I've been loving, but this is an absolute 10 out of 10. All right, so we are zoomed back out, and it is time for the moment of truth when it comes to this eye over here. I am so scared as I just go for it. It did what I thought it would do. No. Okay, so do you guys see how it's very like splotchy and kind of patchy, and it's hanging on really weird in different places? There's a bunch of fallout on this side because I'm used to baking. It's not super awful, but it's also not super great. I know exactly what it was. It's not necessarily the powder's fault, and it's not the concealer's fault. It's just the fact that this concealer is one that is quick to dry, and hopefully maybe I can give this another shot somehow, some way with a different product. But then again, if you are a brand and you know that your concealer is not super wet, I wouldn't necessarily come out with something that's not gonna work for it, because these are from the same line. This is the Can't Stop Won't Stop. And also, NYX, come out with some more shades in the setting powder. Like seriously, their dark is dark, but it has a super weird undertone, and people fail to realize that not all dark people have the same undertones. Now we are going to be doing something that hopefully does not break this look, because I'm absolutely loving the way that my skin looks. I love my eyebrows. Even the eyeshadow is starting to grow on me, even though I had to work a little bit harder for it. But they did not have a bronzer that was dark enough for me, so I opted to kind of just do a concealer type of bronze. HD Studio Photogenic concealer, and this is in the color Espresso. And I have also tried this concealer from 2 different lines. This concealer is also really, really good. I have not cream contoured or bronzed or whatever in a very long time, so I'm hoping that this does not ruin the look, but we will see. I'm literally gonna start with like barely any at all because I don't want to ruin those. I'm just going to take my beauty blender. Okay, that's like super easy to work with. I'm kind of living. I'm very surprised. That was super easy to work with. I was kind of afraid that it was gonna dry down super fast, so I kind of worked with it. I don't wanna put any more on just because I don't wanna overdo it. This will definitely be used again, 10 out of 10. If something does not catch my eye or I don't see something different about it when I do these full faces, it usually sits in my makeup collection and kind of just doesn't get used for a really long time. We can finally set the face, and this is something else that I wanted to address next. Let's come out with more than 5 shades in the powder. I just opted for the NYX Professional HD Finishing Powder, and this is just the translucent shade, so hopefully it's actually translucent. The word translucent scares me. You don't even need a whole bunch of powder when it comes to this. Sometimes when you put on translucent powder, it claims to be translucent, but then it kind of gives you a white cast, which I'm kind of low-key seeing. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but this is definitely giving a little bit of a white look. Okay, I mean it's not awful, but I really could have went without it. This will probably never be used again. If you guys have a powder that you don't like, loose powder, setting powder, like anything, instead of using my bake to set my eyelids, I will take that powder and set it with my eyelids just so I can use it up somehow, some way. Next, I have just really started getting into blush. I used to never be a blush girl. They have a matte version of all these colors, and then they have a shimmery version of all these colors. And when I think of blush, I just don't think of a lot of shimmer. I kind of think of it as a wash of color. So this is the color Risky Business. Super, super pretty. I feel like this is the perfect nude blush for my skin tone, but it's also very, very pinky. I'm just going to take my Real Techniques stippling brush, still kind of dabbling in the blush, so until I feel like I'm comfortable with it, I just use a stippling brush because stippling brush diffuses things. I barely needed any at all. This is definitely way more pigmented than the e.l.f. blush because I kind of have to work to get color from that. I'm living. I stand. I definitely stand. So I'm not gonna overdo it with the blush. I've never used a loose highlighter. I've only used pressed. This is the NYX Born to Glow Illuminating Powder, and this is in the color Warm Strobe. I can already tell that this is going to be more of a sparkly highlighter, if that makes sense. There's highlighters that give you that natural highlighting sheen, but then there's other highlighters that are just completely blinding. They have a lot of glitter in them, and this is one of those. This would be a gorgeous eyeshadow, but look. Oh, if this does not serve me justice, I'm going to be upset. Nose highlight. I barely even touched my nose. I shouldn't have got so much. Do y'all see? I know y'all see this. Okay, never did I ever think I would say this, but I think my nose highlight is a bit much. So I'm gonna try to diffuse it just a little bit. I will just take this Real Techniques setting brush just to kind of, which I really don't even think this needs to be diffused because it really just gives a super pretty glow that hits when you're in the light. Oh my gosh. 12 out of 10. Oh my gosh. I'm just speechless, so give me a moment. Now I'm just going to brush out these lash extensions. What would I do without lash extensions. I'm actually going to set my face first, and then I'm gonna do my mascara and my lipstick. The NYX Matte Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray. And I have actually used a whole one of these before, and I wasn't sure if I had finished it up or not, but I actually really like this spray. Although I have found that I do love a good mister setting spray, the Morphe one or the Beauty Bakery one. I love that type of packaging. And this is still a pretty fine mist, but sometimes I have found that with setting sprays, they're not misty enough and you can see the droplets on your face. I'm going to be doing mascara, and I'm going to try this NYX Worth the Hype Volumizing and Lengthening Mascara. And I'm really hoping that this wand is little because it's for my bottom lashes. I actually really like that the wand is a little bit bigger because you barely even have to work to get that mascara on those bottom lashes. But like I say in every video, it's really hard for me to tell if a mascara sucks because I don't get the chance to use it on my top lashes. All right, so I will give that mascara like a 9 out of 10. If you can see, it kind of goes into a cone shape, and it's smaller on the bottom, so it's easier to just get in there and be really precise. The formula is a little bit clumpy. I did see a couple of my lashes kind of clump together. We're on our final step, and I'm kind of sad because I've been very impressed with how everything's been performing. But my last step is going to be lipstick, but we are not going to disappoint today because I'm going to be using lip liner, lipstick, and possibly a lip gloss. I'm not really big on lip liner, but like I said, I'm trying to branch out. I'm trying to be different. The lip liner I'm going to be using is this NYX Professional Makeup Slide On, Glide On, Stay On, and definitely a Turn On Waterproof Extreme Color Lip Liner. And it says in parentheses, this lip liner is so good the name had to be long. And this is in the color Need Me. Now I am going to be using NYX Lingerie, and this is in the color Cabaret Show. It has, I'm not gonna lie, a very chemical smell to it though. Y'all, I look so weird with lipstick on because I never wear it. This is definitely matte, which I was afraid of because like I have said before, I really like a good gloss on the lip. I just do. The only thing I wish I would have done is got a darker lip color on the outside just to kind of give me that ombre effect. I'm going to be using this NYX Butter Gloss in the color Bit of Honey. And let me tell y'all, do you remember when NYX Butter Glosses were like the thing to have? I'm not really big on scents, but these, just the name Butter Gloss, makes it sound like it has to be sweet. It has to be. This is probably the most impressed that I have been with a full face, other than the probably Juvia's Place. I would absolutely reuse everything except for this. My thing is, when something is translucent, you should be able to tell that it gives you a mattified look without the color. That's why I did that half and half, because when I did this half of my face, you could see a white cast that was also matte. It did its job and some more that was not asked for. I want to definitely give this a shot. I wonder how this would do with like my Born This Way concealer or my e.l.f. concealer, something that's a little bit more thick and doesn't dry down super fast. I think that that would work, one of those would work perfectly with this powder. I think that is all, y'all. I had so much fun. If there is a specific brand that you guys would like me to do next, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.